Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back, dear ones.
Guys, we were talking about how there's so much more to this bill, this relief bill that got signed, than meets the eye. And yet, there's even more than we realized just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I mean, they keep, opening the box of surprises more and more and more.
Wow, this box is full of surprises.
Surprise!
Oh, man, I think 2021 is going to be the year of surprises.
It is, and so we better just hang on tight.
Yes. You better not shout. You better not cry. I'm telling you why. Because disclosure's coming.
Yes, I think there's actually a lot of deceit going on, too.
Yeah, disclosure in one sense, but will it be the disclosure of the real truth? Oh, somehow I doubt that.
Yeah, I kind of have my doubts, too.
This is an interesting little video between the producer of the New York Post and Nick Pope, who is the former director of UFO Office, UK Ministry of Defense. You know, he's just one of a host of people that are ex-military, ex-top political officials that have come straight out and said, we're not alone, not by a mile. It's not even close. It's nothing to consider. We've never been alone.
No, we haven't. And, anyone who's listening to this channel, we already know.
We know. Yeah, we've experienced. We've seen, so we've seen, we've experienced, we've felt, all of the above. So President Trump's signature Sunday on that 2.3 trillion relief and government funding bill started a 180-day countdown. Yes, there's a countdown, guys. I love countdowns. 180-day countdown for the Pentagon and spy agencies to say what they know about UFOs.
Yeah, and look at that numerology, too. You got 180 days, and A plus 1 is 9 completion. So I feel it's completing something.
It is. And 2 plus 3 is 5, and that's a way of manifesting on the physical plane as well. For elements plus ether. Interesting. The provision received very little attention in part because it wasn't included in the text of the 5,593-page legislation that every one of us have read.
Of course we have.
Oh, sure. And do you think anybody in either the House or in the Senate has read the entirety of this? I kind of doubt it.
But of course they did. They'd never lie to us.
Well, you're right. You're right. So, interesting. It wasn't included in the text, but as a committee comment attached to the Annual Intelligence Authorization Act, which was rolled into this gigantic omnibus massive bill. The Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, said in the committee it directs the Director of National Intelligence in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of other such agencies to submit a report within 180 days of the date of the enactment of the act to Congressional Intelligence and Armed Services Committees on Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, as it's now called by the military and the government, or otherwise known as UFO. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to tell us everything that they go over.
Right. They do like to play with vocabulary words a lot.
This report must address observed airborne objects that have not been identified and should include a detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena data collected by A, geospatial intelligence, B, signals intelligence, C, human intelligence, if there is any left on the planet, besides you guys and us. Sorry. And measurement and signals intelligence, the committee said. The report must also contain a detailed analysis of data from the FBI, which was derived from the investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena, data over restricted U.S. airspace, and assessments of whether this UFO activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. Okay. Well, we could think of two of those. One starts with CH, one with RU. But maybe we should be also saying N-A-Z-I.
Perhaps that would be the right thing to do.
Yes. So former Pentagon and legislative officials confirmed Tuesday to the publication the debrief that the package begins the clock on UFO disclosures. Spokespeople for Senator Rubio, who pushed for more UFO transparency, did not respond to the post's multiple requests for comment. The push for more information follows the Pentagon's April publication of 3 Navy videos showing UAPs. Chris Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, told the debrief that the newly enacted Intelligence Authorization Act incorporates the Senate Intelligence Committee's report language calling for an unclassified all-source report on UAP-UFO phenomenon. This was accomplished in the joint explanatory statement accompanying the bill. Consequently, it's now fair to say that the request for a unclassified report on the UAP-UFO phenomenon enjoys the support of both parties in the House of Congress. Now, yeah, of course. They want to be in the know. The presidents get informed, and that's usually when you see them the next day and they're out, with the press, and they look like pale as ghosts and like they've all of a sudden aged 10 years.
Yeah, I can remember a time when that happened when he first took office.
Oh, yeah. He looked shaken to the core.
Oh, he was. I thought he was going to vomit, actually.
He really did look like he was. He looked sick. He looked like more than troubled. It's more like, if the doctor gives you a horrible prognosis, kind of like a incredulous type of look.
I know, it's pretty horrible type of energy he had to deal with.
So this is all very, very interesting. And again, if we want to look at it from the standpoint of, let's just use a little logic. Does it feel like there's a benevolent presence that's in control of this planet, that cares about the ecology of the planet, the longevity of the planet, all the species on the planet, cares about the best interest of all the humans on the planet, does everything for all the forms of life on the planet? Or does it feel more like the power that controls the planet is kind of just using it as it will? One could even say just kind of raping it of its natural resources, using and abusing. If we were to look at it as a spouse of the planet itself, we would say this is an abusive relationship. And, it's kind of obvious when you look at it. Look at all the species that are dying across the planet. Look at all the plastics in the oceans, all the whales and dolphins, dying and being, put up on shore with plastic in their bellies and plastic in their lungs. We could go on and on. It doesn't feel like the true power behind this planet is a benevolent one. It feels like it's a malevolent one. And it feels like it's one that doesn't care about anything but just basically using, abusing, taking advantage of all the natural resources, and then just discarding it or divorcing it, so to speak. Yeah. And it feels like it would move on to the next best thing.
Yeah, without a problem either, and without any looking back. And all one needs to do really is look at the fruits of what's going on, and that's your answer.
So if we could deduce that, then we could kind of deduce that necessarily we wouldn't trust anything that comes out of the mouth of the spokespeople of that power that be. In fact, we might derive that we could probably look at the opposite being kind of the truth when it comes out to it. So will we get disclosure? They'll give us some. They're going to give us some because they're going to have to, because there are benevolent beings out there that will at some point force their hand.
Yeah, they will. We just need to stay prepared and stay kind of on guard at the same time. Hold on to our center and ourselves.
So we see some leaked uniform designs, non-official. And in fact, the U.S. Space Force is refuting these uniform designs when I saw them, I don't know. To me, one thing came straight to mind when I saw these designs. And we see it in like Star Wars, we see it in the movies as well. Everything just kind of echoes of Germany in 1930s and 1940s. Everything, and by the way, we have the eagle here. We have the Roman eagle, the German eagle, and gosh, what's the bird that was it? Turkey? Oh no, that was what Ben Franklin wanted. He wanted our national, emblem to be the turkey. But no, it's an eagle as well. It's the same eagle. When we think back and we look at these real beings, these are some men that took part in Operation High Jump, which, this actual photo was taken in Antarctica. What was Operation High Jump? Well, it was all about going to see what the NAZI apostrophe S's were doing in Antarctica. And so it was led by a very, very famous man, Admiral Richard Byrd. Extremely, extremely high thought of, very, very respected individual who on his deathbed was talking about UFOs, aliens, inner Earth, civilizations, and all sorts of stuff that, to the mainstream of most of the times up until the last couple of years would sound absolutely crazy.
Yes, he was highly decorated. He was highly respected. I mean, he had a huge fleet. It's not like they would just hand over, any old thing to somebody. He was in charge of a huge fleet. And also there was another journal that I think may have been recovered recently, but had a lot more information in it that they didn't allow to be seen for a long time.
Exactly. And so this classic flying saucer shape that we saw so much, and then we discover, actual documentation, legitimate NAZI documentation showing that, they had actually made ships in that design, as you see, with turrets underneath them. This is fact. This is not conjecture. This is fact, documented fact. And they were well ahead of the Allies. The Axis powers were well ahead. But again, Germany, Japan, Italy, at that time, even if we look now, Japan like 109 million people, Germany like 66 million, and Italy, 60-ish million. Not a lot of population compared to, say, China, 1.3 billion, India, almost 3 billion. Even the United States, 332 million. For those three countries to try to take over the world is a long stretch. Yet they did a pretty good job because of their technology. Yet again, it's just like, how could three guys fight off, 200, 300, 400? The odds are not good. So Admiral Richard Byrd warned today of the need for the U.S. to adopt protective measures against the possibility of invasion of the country by hostile aircraft proceeding from the polar regions. I don't want to scare anybody, but the bitter reality is, in the event of a new war, the United States will be attacked by aircraft flying in from the poles. Well, he had firsthand knowledge of this because his fighter craft got their butts kicked by the Nazi saucers. And, by the way, when we look at all the mythologies too, where is the realm of the gods? Well, it's up at the poles when it comes to the Nordic pantheons. And it's so interesting when we see New Schwabenland down there in Antarctica. And we know the Nazis fled to South America, Argentina in particular. From there, jumped off into also Antarctica and have bases there. And by the way, what else is there? Well, there seems to be some giants with conical heads there. There's a lot of things that, have been hidden from the public. But recognize also the Nazis were so into the occult, which just means that which was hidden. They were looking for the spear of Longinus. Who's Longinus? Well, he's this Roman centurion that jabbed the spear into the side of Christ. And the blood of Christ went on the spear. And so the spear becomes known as the spear of destiny, the spear of power. They were looking for all sorts of artifacts like that. They were looking for the Holy Grail. They were looking for other things of other traditions as well that could enable them to achieve a superiority over their adversaries. And who are their adversaries? Well, the rest of the world, anybody that was against their, Third Reich. And when we look at it even deeper, we recognize that they were trying everything they could to communicate to entities that would give them the technology that they so desired. So when you're communicating with entities, you could tell by their vibration what they are. If you are developed to a certain point, if your kundalini is activated, your chakras are open, pineal gland is open, a darker entity can't really trick you. Now, if you're drinking fluoridated water, eating junk food, drinking soda pop, yeah, and also taking the black goo, then anybody can basically pull the wool over your eyes.
Right, that's super, super true. It's about feeling the vibration, or even sometimes people try to hide their true intentions. They try to hide their deceit. And, when you're opened up, it's not exactly a really easy thing to do, because you do have to deal with and feel these other emotions and learn how to tame them and learn how to direct them and learn and understand what they're about. But ultimately, the bottom line is you can feel deceit.
So where did their technology come from? Does that mean there's no extraterrestrials? No, not necessarily. No interdimensionals? Not necessarily. They got their technology from somewhere. And so the rumors is they encountered some Nordic-looking aliens that gave them this technology. And, being the fact that we lived across from Nellis, for, you a long time and me for a little bit over a year, we saw a lot of things. We felt a lot of things over there.
Yeah, we did. And, it's almost like they don't do anything to hide it. All you have to do is go outside and look up for less than 5 minutes and you see stuff.
Yeah, and plus we know a lot of contractors that work there as well. And the tall white ETs are there, as well as what we would call draconian energies, reptilian energies, the grays of all sorts, the tall ones and the short ones. And these beings are all under that draconian energetic web of control, and including some Nordic types that have been conquered. And so when we wonder where the Nazis' technology came from, well, it came from the rulers of this realm. And who does the Bible say rules this realm? Well, it's the dragon, right? Satan, the dragon. Which, again, dragon, Draco, horns, kind of long tail, not so pleasant looking, occasionally uses a pitchfork in certain, mythologies. But in reality, that is what we have. So recognizing that disclosure is coming, recognizing the influences upon this planet and who really controls this planet, then we recognize that when disclosure comes, and if they say that, the Galactic Federation is here, and they roll out people that they say are members of the Galactic Federation, and they might look very much like those Nordic aliens that helped out, the Third Reich. But will it really be the Galactic Federation? Or will it be these very same entities that have been controlling the planet the whole time behind the scenes? When we looked at Operation Paperclip, what happened? Well, as it says, they didn't necessarily lose. They came to America. And Werner von Braun, yeah. Well, he became head of NASA. Arthur Rudolph as well, rocket scientists. They got absorbed in. And so, did the USA and the Allies really win? Or did we really get absorbed into something larger?
Yeah, they certainly absorbed all the information. They had done with all the studies on human beings and behavior, and they really had a head start on that because they had that information, and now it's just all kind of absorbed into everything, and they use it, to manipulate.
They do. And so the saying, don't get on the first ships you see, because again, the first ones that get rolled out very well will probably be the ones that have been giving the technology and also controlling the planet from behind the scenes the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. And it has been going on for a very long time, and we do our best to quietly but as blatantly as possible point out, the controllers. It's not about left versus right in any way. Not in any way. That's just a tool they use to keep us afraid of each other and in anger and in fear.
Yes, it's for the masses. And when we look at the way things work, and I've talked about this in other videos and I can't get too explicit, but basically there's wealth to be made, funding both sides of a coin. And yet the bigger purpose is keeping the masses in the dark, creating the loosh that feeds certain energies, keeping the population in check, and just continued dominance of the planet. It's all about that bigger picture. Because again, the energies that run this planet and rule this planet are not benevolent ones. So we shouldn't really trust them, is the bottom line.
And I know, anything that they put out there to us, we really need to look at with a questioning eye and ask ourselves, who's benefiting from this? Who's being hurt? Who's being triggered?
Yes. And as always, guys, make sure you're subscribed, click the bell, get all notifications, hopefully. And thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody that needs to make an appointment, reach out to us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.